I'm pretty sure that it's just not me, but does it seem like everything is just getting much more expensive? No, I'm not talking about meme stocks or cryptos. I'm talking about gas, groceries, and housing prices got me crying in millennial. Since I love talking about personal finance and consider myself pretty frugal, I'm pretty sure that these price hikes are impacting most people out there. So in today's video, I'm gonna be covering what's actually increasing, why is it increasing, and will the prices ever climb back down? What's up, winners? My name is Nam. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance and credit. Start now by subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you guys are wondering what this little mark right here, this bruise, you should ask my wife. Nah, I'm just kidding. I actually was moving a refrigerator the other day, so I caused a bruise on my arm. So first, let's talk about what was recently in the news, which is the price hike on gas. I live in Southern California and I live in LA County. So at the making of this video, the average cost for regular unleaded gas is a little bit over $4. Around the same time last year, this was going for around $2.80. That is almost 1.5 times more than it was last year. And this is not just happening in Southern California, but across all states. Recently, at least 7 states across the Southeast had gas shortages. So the national average gas price across all states is roughly around $3 a gallon. A recent major catalyst in the Southeast is due to the Colonial Pipeline being hacked, and they're currently working to restore that pipeline. So with this gas shortage, this caused people to go in panic mode and they try to hoard things like they did toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic. So this caused many gas stations in the Southeast to actually shut down because there was not enough gas to go around, or they just simply ran out. But the pipeline hack is not the only reason on why gas prices is rising. What it really comes down to is supply and demand. Last year in 2020, when the US was shutting down, and also most parts of the world, the demand for oil and gasoline was just much less. People really weren't driving out and about as much or just traveling. So at the beginning of this year, the vaccine started to roll out, businesses were opening, and things are starting to get a little bit more normal. So the demand for gas and traveling just drove the prices back up again. As the world becomes more and more normal, the demand for gasoline will most likely increase and will not slow down anytime soon. But just like with any market, there are cycles. You generally see gas price increases during vacation driving seasons between April and September. And once winter rolls around, gas prices tend to be lower, because transportation needs and production costs are lower then. Aside from gas, let's really talk about something that's affected me and most other millennials, which is housing costs. In California alone, within the last year, the median housing price increased by 12.5%. And previously, the price for a median home last year was around $582,000 compared to $654,000 this year. This is not just happening in California, but it's happening all over the US. The state of Florida has seen an increase of 11%, Texas was 10.7%, and 12.1% in Colorado. So what's causing housing prices to go up so freaking high? And what it really comes down to is supply and demand. There are just fewer houses available compared to the amount of buyers that are wanting to buy. If there's just a few people who are looking to sell, this just skyrockets the price because the buyers are in a bidding war with everyone else. It used to take around a month to sell a home. Now it takes as little as 2 weeks and sometimes within a few hours once a house is listed. The thing is that you're not competing with other people who are well qualified. You're competing with cash buyers who are not even willing to wait for an inspection. On top of that, interest rates are at a record low. So it makes it easier for borrowers to get money, and plus they can qualify for much more. Myself, being a millennial, this is the average age where home buying starts to occur. Even though I do live in a major expensive city, a lot of my friends who live in medium cities or smaller states, they're facing the same challenges as well. So when a vast generation that is beginning to become eligible for home buying, but with the increased prices, home buying just seems like a distant dream. To add fuel to the fire, construction costs has increased dramatically as well. Tariffs on Chinese goods such as metals and furnishing materials such as flooring and wall panels has increased anywhere between 10 to 25%. So forget the S&P 500, you should have invested in lumber. The price increased almost 400% since last year. So with more buyers being eligible for more money, the higher cost of building a home, and lower inventory, this is just a perfect storm to hike up the prices. So if you are currently in a home right now because you bought prior to the pandemic or a few years ago, might as well take advantage of the low interest rates right now. But if you are in the same position as I am and looking to purchase a home in the near future, many experts believe that the median price for homes will most likely increase throughout the year. So let's just hope that we can when we are ready. So moving on to something that we all need to survive, which is food. Food has been rising anywhere between 2 to 3%, and this was mainly due to the pandemic. Meat and dairy products increased as high as 4%. Even though these numbers does seem kind of high, On average, most people get raises anywhere between 3 to 5% per year. So your cost of living should be at the same pace. But the size of the raise will vary greatly depending on the experience that you have with the company, where you live, and plus the industry. But that's just the industry standard, 3 to 5%. The increase in food prices is not just occurring in America. Food prices are going up all parts of the world. Many researchers say that the key drivers for increasing food prices is due to climate change. For instance, the Texas winter storms that occurred earlier this year not only made people super cold and knocked out the power grid, it also destroyed lots of crops and livestock. There has been estimates of roughly around $600 million worth of food was destroyed. And whenever food gets destroyed, you can't get that right back, because it takes time for it to grow what was lost. Additionally, transport costs are higher due to increase of gas prices and added demand as things start to become normal once again. Some researchers, they say that food prices can increase for another year, but it's really hard to tell until everything goes back to how it once was. So on the topic of food, restaurants have been hit really hard during this pandemic. But since restrictions have loosened up, the same restaurants are facing another struggle, which is trying to find workers. Not only that, there has been a bunch of photos that are floating around the internet that show signs of restaurants being closed or understaffed after their employees quitting. A possible reason is probably due to the $300 a week unemployment benefit that is still continuing until September of this year. So to combat this, restaurants are starting to offer incentives to get people hired. A McDonald's in Florida was paying $50 to applicants who would turn up to an interview because they're having problems attracting employees. Another fast food chain, Chipotle, have recently reported that they will increase restaurant workers to an average wage of $15 an hour. Plus, some employees may be eligible to make a six-figure salary after 3 years on a job as a manager. Remember, employees can be promoted to a manager position, but this does not necessarily mean that it's a sure thing. They are also rolling out a $200 employee referral bonus to keep them on track to hire 20,000 employees by the summer. The demand for eating out will most likely increase in the upcoming months, and restaurant chains have to figure out something creative to recruit more employees. Now, switching topics to cars. Ever since the pandemic hit, the price for used cars in the US has been out of control. Since last year, used car prices has increased by 21%. Because of the pandemic, many manufacturers had to stop making new vehicles, and there really wasn't that much of a demand. So as a result, many dealerships are having shortages of new inventory. So this led to more buyers buying used. Another reason on why used cars are increasing in price is that the cost of building new cars is just more expensive. The supply chain for raw materials plus the advanced technology makes newer cars just cost more. So used cars naturally would just increase. With that being said, buyers who are more financially savvy prefer spending less money right now when times are uncertain. So for me personally, I currently do have a lease on a 2018 Acura RDX that's due to end in the upcoming months. To buy out this car towards the end of the lease, this would roughly cost around $20,000. And this same car in the used car market will roughly cost me around $25,000 to $27,000. I recently looked up how much I can trade in this car for, and I actually can make an extra $3,500, meaning that I do have some equity in this car right now, so the effective cost of my lease within the past 3 years is much less. So the best financial decision for me right now is most likely to buy out this car, because if I were to buy something similar, it's going to be very difficult to get anything close to 20K. So this actually makes a lot of individuals who have leases close to ending to reconsider whether or not to buy their own vehicle or just lease another. We all know that leasing for the long term is never a financially smart decision. Those 1% deals that lease hackers were getting are extremely rare nowadays. The bottom line is that you should buy a car that makes financial sense to you. If you want to trade in your car to get the highest possible value and get something cheaper, then the time to do it is now. But if you decide to wait, it's going to be difficult to predict future pricing whenever the supply chain does return back to normal. So with the increase of everything, are we really financially doomed? Or this is just the beginning of inflation? Many economists suggest that inflation will likely increase as the economy recovers. For the past few decades, inflation has been around 2%, but many have been suggesting that in the upcoming years, inflation will hover around closer to 3%. And the US has not experienced inflation higher than 3% since the 1990s. Only time will tell whether or not the rising prices for everything is just due to inflation or just the bottleneck of the supply chain. What do you guys think about the increased prices for everything? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys in my next videos.